Welcome to the After Dark podcast with Anthony James and Konrad. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
Hello and welcome to the After Dark podcast. I am Anthony James and that is Konrad.
Hello!
Hello, Konrad. And that's Emmett.
I'm back again.
Coming to us from Bratislava on slight delay is Emmett.
Yes. In the negative zone, I'm broadcasting from the 80s. Actually, that's the crazy thing. I had to hook up like all sorts of weird devices to be able to broadcast. But here we are.
Podcasting with a signal delay. That's the future of comedy.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Alright, okay, so we're trying to get Emmett to talk for a long periods of time this episode, just to cut off the old jibber jabber in between. So basically, this week, guys, if you didn't know, we're going through Dark one season at a time, I should say. I'm used to saying one episode, but this is one season at a time. Last week we did season 1. If you didn't catch that, go and have a look at it. This week we're doing season 2. Emmett has never seen it, so he's going through it. We're hearing about all his theories. At the end of the episode as well, we're going to have Konrad reflecting upon season 2. He's rewatched it now, so he's his first ever rewatch. He's going through that now as well. Subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Guys, you know where to subscribe by this point. If you don't, as in the words of Roy Keane, do me a favor. Right, okay, let's move into the show. Links in the description for all sorts of stuff. Alright, there's no transition here. We're just going in. Emmett, first thing we're going to do is we're going to reflect upon your theories. So, last week you made a few theories.
I did.
I can't remember them all perfectly. I remember there was one in particular where you said that you thought Stranger Jonas knew more than he was letting on.
Yes. So, it's one of those ones where, like, some of the theories I made were kind of right for the wrong reasons. In the sense of, like, I thought, like, Stranger Jonas was going to be, like, masterminding it. And technically I was kind of right in the sense that Stranger Jonas becomes Adam. But obviously I didn't know really about Adam last season. So it really sort of, I couldn't have predicted that. But he is the force that's been manipulating, like, Claudia and Noah for a long time. And they're either following him loyally or attempting to undermine him, depending on where they are in their personal timelines versus, Adam. So, again, it was I'm going to give myself partial credit on that one, where it's like, I was right, but for the wrong reasons.
Well, I think partial credit is a bit harsh on yourself.
Yeah, I think a stranger becomes Adam. Like, there's no two ways about it. Like, that's still the same character. It's just later in his life.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I'll give myself a big one there. I thought that was a pretty safe guess because obviously Jonas has been told so often about his importance to what's going to come. So it made sense to me that he would be more involved than just being everyone's pawn. So we actually find that he's the chess master to a certain extent.
Well, he spends quite a long time being
as much as you can be a chess master when you're fighting time.
Yeah.
It's very complicated.
Yeah, okay, well...
Yeah.
Okay, well, Stranger knew at that point that he was going to turn into Adam, so I think that's even just 100% guarantee that is a correct theory.
Did you call that coming? That was one of my big questions after this season.
God, the moment that Jonas ended up in the room with Adam... I was like, oh my god, why does Adam have this ridiculously high
this massive collar?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh no, is Adam even further in the future Jonas? And I was like, oh no, please tell me it's not. Like, and then like he removes his collar and shows the mark of the noose.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my god, my heart broke. That's something that happened a lot this season, my heart breaking, just as all these terrible things happened to these people. And just, I was just like, and the moment he did it, I was like, no, oh god, no. Because, like, the moment he's aware of the fact that he's going to become Adam, it's like, it's almost like, it's almost written in stone then for him, because we see that a lot in the season where, people attempting to stop things happening is, in fact, the cause of them happening. And it's just like, that's just so brutal. And just...
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, if he never knew he was going to turn into Adam... then possibly he never would have, because the path wouldn't have been set.
In the same way that, like, Stranger Jonas locking Marta in the bunker, leads to her being where she is at the point where she runs into young Jonas and then gets shot by Adam, because she might have been somewhere completely different, because she might have gone first to her house, seen that no one was there, and then gone somewhere else and wouldn't have been there to get caught up in all of this. And like, so it's like, or, you know, the more obvious one of the season being like Claudia, you know, trying so desperately to save her dad's life, but ultimately being the thing that killed her dad, you know?
Yep. There's a whole load in this series.
So brutal.
Before we go into the actual each of those little details, because there are so many of them, what other theories did you have?
I'm trying to think.
You had one that Noah was older Bartos.
Yes, that turned out to be untrue, but I think we're going to learn a little bit more about potentially older Bartos at some stage, considering his involvement with everything. So that one was completely wrong. I also thought that Noah came from the future, and he doesn't seem to come from the future. He seems to come from the past. He seems to still, unless I'm misreading that, but he is important in the sense that he is connected to people. So definitely messed up on that one. But the person that Noah works for does come from the future. Like, Adam is future Jonas, so he comes from the far future. So I think that's where...
Well, in terms of his own timeline, yeah, but like, the way this show works, you never know whether they're aging in the past or they're aging in the...
A lot of the characters in this are Rolling Stones, let's say. Like, where they come from is kind of a difficult to pin down exactly.
Exactly, yeah. I think sometimes Adam looks like he's covered in moss with the way that his face has ended up, but not quite. So that was one of my theories, and then I speculated on who I thought was going to end up time traveling, and I think I was a little bit too conservative on who I thought was going to end up time traveling. A lot more people ended up going through the different places than I was like, oh, we're probably not going to get too many time, everyone's going.
When you said that, I imagined, like, you know, you were like, I don't think too many people are going to time travel, and then cue like the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia title card with the whole gang time travel.
Like, everyone's going.
Yeah, literally, we're all going, guys.
Even Hannah takes a pit stop to go and look at Mickle through a window.
Yeah, just a cheeky little stop off in the in the 80s.
Right. Okay. Well, then what we can start going through different moments in the series and see what your reaction to it was, and sort of did you call it? So first of all, Adam. We mentioned Adam. Did you call that Adam was Jonas before it happened?
Only in the sense of, like, when he entered the room, it sort of registered to me that he's meeting the big bad very early, and, you know, like, just the way that, like, that setup, the meeting was set up, I was like, oh no, like, I called that just before it was revealed, so not quite. I got when it came to the revelation of who was Charlotte's father, the detective, the police captain, I thought it was going to turn out to be Jonas, just because there's a moment where
Charlotte's father.
Yeah, Charlotte's father. Not Charlotte. Is that the name of the police captain?
That's Oh, you mean Claudia's father?
No. The Claudia's the leader of the nuclear power plant. But the police captain's father, because when she turns around.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, bad with names. So, like, when she turned around when speaking to future Jonas, stranger Jonas, like, I looked at their two faces together, and there was a very similar shape to their faces.
So you thought that might have been where it is?
Yeah. Because it looked like to me that, like, their faces were very similar, and, like, the moment, but instead it's a much more complicated reveal on who her parents are, in that sort of, like, snake eating its tail Ouroboros way. Yeah, and I was like, and so, like, that.
Right, okay, look, can I just explain my confusion there, because people are going to be thinking Charlotte's father was revealed obviously as Noah, and if I was, like, really confused there for a second. I need to explain to the listeners why I was confused, because I'm not an idiot, right?
Yeah.
What you said, Emmett, like, this is what really got me going off the deep end here. You said Charlotte's father was revealed, and then you specified who Charlotte was, but I thought you were specifying who the father was. You said the police captain.
Yeah, I was like, does he think Egon is Charlotte's father?
No, it's hard to,
Egon,
like,
you dog.
Egon's getting involved. We'll get into Egon in a little bit, but, like, definitely him and Hannah were giving each other some weird eyes there at the end.
Yeah.
So what happened, like, so Charlotte's father is Noah, but I got confused in the sense of I thought it was going to be future stranger Jonas, on his way to become Adam, just because the actors' face shapes are quite similar, and there's a little moment where she turns around while speaking to Jonas, and he's sort of behind her and a little bit blurred due to the pull focus situation, and I thought it was trying to hint at that because of the way that if you blur his face slightly, it sort of looks like her a little bit, but no, they pulled the rug out from underneath me on that one, and Noah turned out to be her father, and her daughter turned out to be her mother. Oh my god. There's so much incest in this show.
You want to know what something that's crazy, Emmett? Konrad predicted. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Coming in live. Konrad predicted in episode 4 of season 1, episode 5 of season 1, that Elizabeth was Charlotte's mum.
Oh,
that was a fire. I mean, that makes it sound like a lot more impressive than it actually was. I was basically kind of postulating that the way that they shot Ellie saying goodbye to Charlotte when she drops off at school was a bit weird, and I feel like that nothing is done freely. If something is given real estate in this series, there's a reason for it. And I was kind of going down my own little rabbit hole for that, and Anthony, being the kind of provocative the agent provocateur that he is, kind of prodded me to make a theory, and as it turned out, I thought I was basically losing points by saying something ridiculous, and as it turned out, it was correct, which is more, I feel like that's more on Dark than it is on me.
That to be fair, that is impressive. I would not have guessed that in 100 years, being that, especially because they seem slightly disconnected, at least in the first season, from most of the time travel stuff. So I wouldn't have expected them to get so entangled in it in season 2, which is absolutely crazy. So fair play. Even if James, even if Anthony, sort of led your hand a little bit there on making you make a theory, that's 100% a good shot. You took a shot in the dark and you got someone right in the chest.
Yeah, that was my full court heave for that one. that one, it just ended up going.
The crowd goes wild, everyone loses their minds. Oh my god,
that was the big impressive one, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was actually a reveal that Konrad didn't predict in the whole show. But still, okay.
I think there might have been a couple. I feel like there's there was definitely some obvious stuff I missed, and there's one thing that I'm definitely going to talk to Emmett about later in this, because I think it would have made the show better, and they didn't do it.
Well, I love talking about little bits like that, where it's even a show you love, there's a few missed opportunities and stuff like that. So.
Okay, so the next big thing which we could talk about. So we've talked about the Noah reveal as Charlotte's dad. We've talked about Adam reveal. What about the reveal? I suppose it's funny calling everything reveals, but basically any story every minute is a reveal, isn't it? Because you've never seen it before. Anyway, the reveal that Jonas is actually the reason his father killed himself.
Oh yeah, the moment. Yeah, I got that, because again, the second season's a lot about people unintentionally causing the problem that they're trying to prevent. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was pretty aware, and it's such a tragic moment, and it just, again, like I said, season 2 is just a heartbreak after heartbreak, and just watching Jonas realize that he's the reason that his father isn't around is just so terrible. And I was he's gonna be the reason that this happens, isn't he? The moment that he was going back to try and stop it, I'm he's gonna end up causing his father's suicide, either through scaring him or because his dad is going to be, self-sacrificing. It turned out to be the self-sacrifice option, which I think really fit Michael / Michael. And it was a very tragic but touching moment, because there's a lot of complicated family relationships in this show, but Michael seems to just unequivocally love his son, even though his son was the reason that he gets rid from the rest of his family. And
he makes the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, and he just so loves Jonas. That's the idea of creating a timeline where Jonas does not exist is so abhorrent to him. It's I'll kill myself if that means my son gets to exist. And it's very sweet and touching, and also very tragic at the same time, because you just want things to work out for them. You just want beyond reason, beyond all hope, that somehow they'll figure out a way of stopping it. But again, at least in season 2, they pull no punches, they hit you hard, and we have to watch Jonas know and find out that he's the reason that his own father committed suicide, and that it's all part of this cycle. It's so rough.
What did you think of? Or well, actually, I guess like more broadly, did you have like a favorite episode of this season? Because there's a couple of bangers. Not to lead you, but
there's a lot of great stuff, to be honest. The last episodes, like leading up to everything that's sort of going on, when like the dominoes really start falling, I think the season. It's not that the season starts off slow, but there's a little bit of setup, and then like after like offs. So definitely like the latter half of the season was like really engaging and also entirely insane at the same time.
My body is a cage.
Right. But I mean, like at that episode, Endless Cycle is, I think, one of the best single. It's almost like a standalone episode of television in some ways, because it sort of functions
episode
as
6, where they go into the sort of the present day from the start.
Yeah, and it's just like dedicated to this single day before everything goes tits up, and it's just such a great episode. I didn't want to lead you, but I kind of wanted to point in the direction of my two favorite episodes of this season, probably of the whole show. I'm going to say, which is Endless Cycle, and then the third episode where it's like the kind of dovetailing stories between Claudia and Egon when she's a kid, and then in the middle of their life, or well, in middle of her life, end of Egon's, and then middle of Egon's, end of hers, because
3 in a row.
That is the Egon Claudia relationship is so tragic, where she's like apologizing to him for all the things that she's going to end up doing that obviously ends up ruining and ending his life, and he has no context for it until pretty much the end of his life, and it's so horrifically tragic. Again, there's a lot of like dramatic irony in this season of like, we're aware that these actions will have these consequences that they're trying to avoid, but like it's like watching like a train wreck or a car crash, in the sense of like there's nothing you can do to stop it, and you can only watch, and it like just rips you apart at the same time, and I just so scarring for like the rest of your existence. The idea that like someone you love sees you in this terrible moment, and calls you a white devil before you die. Oh god, I felt.
So did you predict that she was the white devil?
I didn't predict she was the white devil. I predicted that she was definitely the cause of his death, because especially when and that became more and more reinforced by how panicked and adamant that she was getting on getting him out of the house. It's like, this is obviously going to lead to things ramping up, emotionally, and like I didn't predict that she was specifically the white devil, but I guess I was more distracted by my feelings on her trying to stop the death of her father. I was like too focused in on that bit and the issues there, rather than
her growing desperation is like, this isn't going to end well. We can all see where this is going, Claudia. You're the only one who can't.
But then when she's cleaning her hands of the blood afterwards, and then Jonas walks in.
Yeah, and then like it's funny because like there's a lot of this show of like again, not the blind leading the blind, but like people seem to like trade the baton on who's leading who to where, So it's like it's funny because it's like it's all the same people teaching each other the same things, but at different points in their own timeline, and it's like it's a very complicated relationship that like everyone builds up, and it's a little thing because I think we talked about it last time, but I love a lot of the shot composition in Dark. Like there's a lot of really great moments. Like I think Anthony, you told me that the director is a painter by trade.
Yeah.
So and there's a lot of shots that just have that.
Well, not by trade. He makes TV shows by trade. He's also a painter.
He's also a painter. He's a painter. But like I love a lot of the shot composition for a lot of the stuff, and there's like a few shots that I just really love. One that I remember a lot from this season is the survivors in the bunker, and the just sort of like little shot of them in this frame. These all these odd people from very different points of history and different points of life.
Old Pete.
Yeah.
and it's just like
He doesn't know what's going on.
yeah.
Pete gets a spot the bunker.
Yeah.
He's obviously not going to make it long. Poor bugger. Like, you know, he's
Actually, we never even talked about in season 1. Did you buy into the fact that Peter was
the most
like,
obvious red herring of all time?
Yeah.
Like
Did you
Peter
think in the
Doppler
first
and
season, like,
Tronte.
oh yeah, like,
with the dirt in his car and all? Did you ever think
no.
that he was involved?
well, like, he was involved in a sense, but like I didn't think he was involved in the murders. If you know what I mean.
Imagine if that had just been played straight.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he was just the murderer.
Yeah.
It'd be like-
I would really, because like we're well, this is the thing with television and stuff like that, because we're all trying to like surprise each other with like more and more complicated reveals on who the killer is, to the point where some shows go absolutely insane and like, you know, it makes no sense. I would really love one show just to be like, build this person up as like the killer, and it's like, yeah, they were just the killer. It's like all the evidence pointed to them. Yeah, there was.
Well, I mean, that's what Clausen thought.
Yeah, yes.
like Clausen spends the entire season just being like, I'm gonna crack this fucking case wide open, and the audience is like, you haven't got a clue what is going on.
He's looking for an elephant. He's looking for an elephant.
Yeah, he's not even looking for the right animal.
Yeah, I loved him in a weird way because he's such a odd. Because that's like everyone else is involved in this time travel plot, and he's still involved in a murder mystery, and it's like
he's like Inspector Clouseau, like in this, he's just stumbling around in the dark, like pointing guns at people who have like no business being involved in this plot at all.
Yeah, that when he was having the interrogation with Alexander / Boris, he just has a gun. I'm like, I feel like you're not allowed to do that. I feel
this tape is now inadmissible as evidence because you've just threatened like Alexander Kurler with a gun.
Yeah, they just point it, like, and I'm just like, what the hell? It's like, yeah, I get it, your brother died and that you're trying to solve this case, but like, you don't need to point a gun at him, man. Like, oh my god, like you've got him in there.
Here's a question for you that might be slightly leading,
Sure.
but who do you think sent that letter to Clausen, firing from the hip?
That's
who set him off on the trail to break the world?
that's a good. I think it was Claudia. I think there's two options in my head. It's either Jonas or Claudia, and I think it was Claudia. Just because I don't know if Jonas writes a whole lot of letters. I think he's more of an email guy. You know.
Yeah, he's a. I guess he'd be a zoomer.
Yeah, which is very funny. It's very funny to think.
It'd
be very funny to. It's very funny to think of like old melted Adam as a zoomer, but yes, he's technically a he's technically a zoomer.
He's had to go in reverse, basically. Basically, like.
So like that's my thought process on that. I think it was Claudia as part of the grander scheme of things. I guess I'll find out. But yeah, no, the fact that like also as a detective, getting a random letter from a friend, as they put it, leading you, like that should make you a little concerned. A bit like, this feels like you're being led into a trap. Yeah. Also,
I love that he just gets Torben to drive him around for the whole series as well. That's where the real money is in this season.
He's got no depth perception, that man. How's he driving?
I love the fact that they pulled that bullshit with us where it's like he was about to explain how he lost his eye, and then like he gets interrupted. I hope they never explain how he lost his eye and just keep teasing us with the idea that they're going to tell us how he lost his eye, because it's one of those things that, like, we didn't bring it up in the first season, but definitely every episode and anytime he appeared, I'm like, how did he lose that eye? What?
There is like, that is one of the rare moments of humor in it. There is humor in Dark if you know where to look for it. Like there's one that I
Yakba.
Egon in the car.
Yeah, like Egon in the car is great. Like his Satanism stuff is always absolutely money. There's also Jonas setting up a trap using the song "Caught in a." Oh, well, it's actually called "Suspicious Minds." Yeah. But the Elvis song that begins with the phrase "We're caught in a trap" when he's stealing gas from like the warlords in post-apocalyptic Vindham, which I find very funny too.
Oh god, that was one of my favorite like silly scenes of him doing like that just to steal some gas to use for the generator so he could stabilize the dark matter for a bit. Also, I can't believe I didn't realize that it was going to turn out to be dark matter when the show was called Dark and we're talking about like time travel and stuff. We kind of talked around the science a little bit in the first season, where I talked about interactive forces and like quintessence and stuff like that. But yeah, dark matter, should have seen that coming. should have called that more specifically. Yeah, but again, I love that moment where at the end of the season, obviously, where they open up everything and it looks like just rocks to them, and then everyone starts time traveling or setting up their time traveling, and then starts like activating everyone. Jesus, everyone was fucking time traveling at the end there. Just everyone and their mother getting into a time machine.
Yeah.
To be fair, Jonas's mother did get into a time machine, as well.
Yeah, we get like the creation of Adam moment between Ellie and Charlotte across times, and then everything breaks.
Just like what do you call it? It was the same in season 1 when Helga at the very end, child Helga and Jonas.
Oh yes,
doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They.
So I got a question for you, Emmett. Right, big picture of the show now. So Claudia has been talking about like two sides, one in Licht, one in Shadow.
Yes.
Right, light and shadow. Do you think we've do you take that as like Claudia's side and Adam's side now, or do you think there's like big players in the show which we haven't even met yet?
But that's the thing, obviously at the end of season 1 we thought it was Noah against Claudia, but Noah was ultimately only a pawn to someone much higher up, and you can debate whether Claudia is. I feel like there's another side of this that we're not aware of yet, especially with how the first season ended with a certain someone coming into the room after their own death to help.
Season 2 ended.
Yeah, season 2 ended with the modern Jonas. So out at that stage. So I feel like we're about to. Things are going to get more complicated in season 3. I can. Yes, these shows rarely ever spend a season getting less complicated. They get more and more complicated. So I don't know if the light and the shadow necessarily refers to people. It might refer to something grander. Maybe they're talking about light and shadow in the sense of time, in the sense of maybe time is shadow or time is light. I don't know. I'm interested on that front, but I feel like it's gone beyond just the machinations of two people. Things have gotten a lot more complex as time has gone on, and I feel like there's either more people involved than we're aware of, or there's another force involved that we're unsure of.
Okay, cool. So tell us what you thought at the very end of season 2 then, whenever Marta, as soon as this happened, the fandom dubbed her Alt Marta.
Yeah.
By the way.
100%. I was like, oh, she comes, because Claudia, I think at one point refers to, I've seen a world without you, Jonas, and it's not better. It's not what you want. So I think this Marta maybe comes from the world without Jonas. This Marta, or Eve, or whatever she's going to end up being called. I feel like some version of Marta is going to end up being called Eve, just because we have Adam there, but yeah, so I think she's definitely. I think next season we're going to maybe explore some different timelines, and that's going to help inform part of the reason that Adam doesn't just erase himself to try and make things better. We're going to see worlds where Jonas does not exist, and that doesn't work out well for anybody, and then we're going to see maybe some other worlds. I don't know if we're going to just see one alternate timeline or multiple alternate timelines, but I'm curious about that part. But yeah, definitely the moment she walked in, I was like, oh, you're from a different timeline. You're not from this original timeline. Well, for one thing, you're lying dead there, and that's very difficult. That's very difficult.
She has a different haircut as well, and as any enthusiast of time travel shows or movies will tell you, different haircut or facial hair means different universe.
Yeah, or if you're wearing glasses or something.
Glasses as well. Sure.
Something to differentiate yourself, and Dark is such a good show about casting, in the sense I didn't think when she walked in, I wasn't like, oh, maybe she's playing Marta's daughter from the future or something like that. Because
that'd be great.
Yeah,
they do a bicentennial man thing, which I don't know. Her daughter for 200 years in the future, or great granddaughter for 200 years in the future, just looks exactly like her, and we'll say no more about it.
Yeah, exactly. We won't explain anything, because Dark's really good about casting people who look like older versions or younger versions of the actors who play the main version, and then casting people who at least seem like they have family resemblance. So I would not believe for a second that they would suddenly get lazy with one of the most important characters of the show and just be like, this is her daughter, Barta. So yeah,
the daughter of Marta and Bartosz.
Yeah.
Marta. Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to get lazy on that front. So I was like, yeah, she's obviously from a different timeline. She is Marta, but not the Marta he knows. which is
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question for you then. Might be a very leading question, but it is the big question that the fans want to hear about. This is what the Dark fans. That's all they care about. It seems like that's all. This is all the comments we get. Right. I'm gonna put it from my own perspective, so it's gonna be very leading.
Sure.
Right.
Go ahead.
Do you think Hannah should have staged some sort of crazy over the top escape plan to get Ulrich out of this 50s jail?
Hannah is so messed up. Hannah is the most, before I get into that, the most messed up person in the, because everyone else at least is like in their mind trying to do things to fix the situation. They're doing horrible, potentially unforgivable things with the intent of making things better. Like, even Ulrich, when he tries to smash poor Helg's head in, he thinks he's stopping a serial killer. He's wrong, but he, like, you can see how he came to that conclusion and why he's doing what he's doing. It's still wrong, but, like, you can, and everything Adam and Claudia does is, like, wrong, but, like, they're trying to do it to save the world, so you can almost forgive what they're doing. Hannah just goes there to fuck with Ulrich, and it's like,
just hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Well, actually, I don't agree with that. I don't think she went there to fuck with Ulrich. I think she went there to set him free.
And then
when he asked about Katarina,
I don't agree with that. I think Hannah's.
She changed.
Yeah.
I think
She changed when
Hannah's.
he asked
I
about
think
Katarina.
she gave him the opportunity to beg. But like, I don't think she ever had any inclination to set him free at that point, because how could she?
Yeah,
Well, but her performance changed so much whenever Katarina was mentioned. You know, that's
I can see both.
Yeah, but I think that was just her dropping the facade rather than her changing her mind.
possible.
I can
Possibly,
see
yeah.
both sides. It feels like she maybe came there with the intention of releasing him, and then at the moment he asks first about his child. Regardless of that element, it's still super messed up that, like, the moment that, like, he doesn't immediately reciprocate her love, she's just gonna be like, I guess you're just gonna spend decades in this horrible situation being tortured. Because
well, what was she gonna do?
Yeah.
What could she have done?
Well, if it had said yes, what would have happened is they would have gone into like a kind of split, a quadruple split screen, and it would have started playing a little less conversation, as like there was a bunch of like planning segments of a heist, someone like laying out a blueprint for the prison on a table, and like people like and like they get like a pickpocket played by Matt Damon to come and help.
She could have actually. What she probably would have done is seduce Egon and then steal the jail.
Ah, there it is.
Or, like,
perfect.
Or, you know, Egon can sometimes be a little bit thick, so she might have just opened up the suitcase, and he would have been like, what the fuck is that? And then, like, she would have been like, oh, it's nothing, and then just, like, hit the time travel button and, like, take Egon with her, Egon and Ulrich with her, and just escaped that way. Like, I don't know, like, again, I don't know what her plan was, but, like, so the idea is, like, I assume that she had to have come, so the two options for Hannah's stealing of the time machine from her son, which again, also a bit of a dick move, because he might need that, considering he's trying to save the world, but you really want to, regardless of whether you want to see
your ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, regardless of whether you want to see Ulrich or just mock him, you're stealing the time travel device from the guy who needs it just to do this. That's a little bit dicky. But, like, she's either going back to attempt to rescue him, or she's going back specifically just to fuck with him, and, like, neither options are great when you factor in the idea that, like, she's stealing this from her son, and, like, her and Jonas had that moment where it's like he seems to realize how, like, low-key crazy his mother is, and he has that little sort of I would really love to know about the director, the show writer, the head of Dark's relationship with his own mother, because there's a lot of very complicated relationships with mothers in this show, whereas, like, some father relationships
and aunts.
Yeah. So, like, I hope they're doing okay, but Hannah is I liked how I ended talking about, like, season 1 with Hannah being like, I hope they add more to flesh her out and either, like, you know, like, make her more redeemable or just commit to her being irredeemable, and they went with the latter. They went with, I will be as because, like, just thinking, no matter what Ulrich did, like, the situation that he is in, he's going to be tortured essentially for the next several decades of his life. For crimes he did not commit other than attempted to kill Haig, but, like, that is so messed up, and the fact that she seems so pleased with herself after doing it. Like,
Yeah.
she seems so at peace and content, you know. And then, like, obviously last season we seen that she was willing to potentially have Ulrich put in prison with false rape charges as well. Like, it's just Hannah.
We also have confirmation as well that she started the affair with Ulrich before Michael was dead.
Yeah.
Also, although I will say, like, I do have a lot of sympathy for her. I think Ulrich's presence as an old man in this season does give him a lot of sympathy, which I didn't have for him at the end of the first season. But I think they do build that in with the old version of himself, and sort of you reflect upon his life. With Hannah, like, we have the moment at the beginning before Stranger comes in and comes home to her. We have the moment where her son is gone missing. She's lost her husband. She's lost her lover as well. And then she's like sitting there with the gun that she got off Alexander, and she was contemplating committing suicide. So I think there are layers being built in for sympathy towards her. I just don't think that's come to a culmination yet. You know?
I'm sure. I'm curious because obviously with the end of this season we leave a lot of people time traveling to different locations, and should we leave? I don't think we see her come back to the present, so I'm wondering if she maybe decides to hang around in the past.
Well, that's what she said when she was smoking a cigarette.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yes.
Like,
so like she's just gonna hang around. And it's just like, oh, I wonder what she's going to do on that front, because you know, it's like, what you gonna do there, Hannah? Like, who are you gonna turn out?
Just wait until Katarina's born and start beating the shit out of the baby.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Don't endorse it. I don't endorse it, but that's what she would do.
God.
But yeah, no, I think like Hannah for me is one of my favorite characters.
Oh yeah.
In the whole show,
Yeah.
I think, and I think like she is a fundamentally selfish person who runs away from her mistakes rather than wanting to deal with the consequences of them. And I think this is a continuation. This entire season is a very believable continuation of that. I love that that Dark never as the scope of the show expands. I love that it never loses sight of really good character work, and not just for its like main characters, but for insofar as there is a main character, but also for the supporting cast.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely, and like I'll admit that, you know, again, I was a little bit unsure about Hannah in the first season, but watching them commit to her being quite self-interested and doing these sort of horrible things does make her a lot more engaging, because it does feel much more intentional and direct. It's like, okay, yeah, so this is who she is as a person. It wasn't just sort of like an unintentionally unsympathetic element to her. It's, no, this is intentional. She's kind of a selfish person at times, and you know, and in this situation,
you might say that.
Yeah, kind of a selfish person.
Kind of selfish, yeah.
Kind of selfish, but she's a selfish person who is made worse when given these sort of outs that she can take. You know, if she had to like face up to some of the consequences of her actions, maybe she would develop and become a better person. But because she has these easy outs that she can take, she just takes them. You know, and you know, doesn't learn from them. Then she just learns that, you know, hey, I can just sort of leave and do whatever I want, and you know, I don't have to worry about anything. You know, so
peace. I'm going to the 50s.
Yeah, peace out. Which, you know,
okay.
I don't know if that's possibly a bad idea. There was a lot of like situations in the 50s that, like, and going forward that you're gonna have to live through, Hannah. But yeah, sure, just go to the past, I guess. You know, just chill out there.
Yeah, well, they just before I move into your theories, like it does make sense that so many characters got involved in time travel, because we sort of knew from the end of the first season that the apocalypse was coming. So in order to keep all your characters alive, you had to sort of do that. Whereas like there's some characters who just seem to be dead now, like, you know, like people who were in Winden and not sort of near anything to do with time travel.
They're dead.
You know. They're probably going to be dead, but you didn't want to kill everyone, so it makes sense. Right, okay, just to finish this segment then, Emmett, what are some theories and big theories? You've already said that you think there might be sort of another timeline-y sort of thing going on where Marta might eventually be called Eve in some way. You mentioned that. Anything else going forward?
Another theory. So they keep on saying, or different characters keep on saying that things like Winden is an infectious wound, or they would want to wipe Winden off the map. So obviously that seems to refer to like it being blown up or destroyed in the end of season 2. I'm wondering if the way to resolve all of this is by literally erasing Winden from the map, in the sense of like ensuring that Winden as a town eventually sort of falls apart and like, you know, it doesn't really exist anymore, and thus none of this stuff can happen, which I think might happen by, because the power plant is such an integral part of everything that happens, so I think it might in some way involve them somehow stopping the power plant from being built, because they sort of refer to it like it being like the lifeblood in Winden and it keeping Winden alive. So I'm wondering if like the way that they will resolve all this time travel shenanigans being in some way to stop the power plant from being built, and then leading to Winden as a sort of town eventually sort of breaking apart and not really existing anymore in the same context, so that none of the time travel stuff can end up happening. That's a possibility in my head.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Do you
Anything else?
Oh, sorry, go on.
I'm sorry, Konrad. No, Konrad, you go.
Well, so like there was one thing I wanted to mention, which I said I was going to mention earlier, and the fans will kill me. Fans will kill me if I don't mention this, which is that when do you think those cocoons on the trees in the future are going to open to reveal whatever nightmarish insect creatures are within them?
But that, to me, that feels like a so episode 1, we got to get those creatures out there. We need to deal. We have to. There's going to be a lot of explaining around there that we have to deal with. Had to come out of those.
Yes. Reset the chessboard.
Yeah.
Start of season 3.
Yeah. Season 3. There's another dimension where it's just Starship Troopers.
Yes, exactly. This is where we find out that Dark is actually the prequel to Starship Troopers, and that the
get Paul Verhoeven involved in this. That's what we need.
Yeah. There's so much like weird sort of like there's little moments where there's just such little gross things going on in the background that I absolutely love.
I was as soon as I saw those, honestly, in this season, I was like, that is cool. What's happening with that? And then the answer is, of course, nothing is happening with that, because this isn't that kind of show. Yeah. And I was very disappointed by it.
Was that one of your big theories?
I believe that made up several of my theories. To be honest, early on in the second season.
Every episode, next episode, we'll see the bug monster.
We're finally going to get to it, guys. I've got a good feeling about this one.
I like how you thought bug monsters. Like when I think eggs, it might just be because I'm reading like the current X-Men run at the moment, and they've basically they've worked out this thing where like they have a method of just immediately resurrecting mutants who die, but they use it like with this weird egg system, so they all hatch out of an egg essentially. So I was thinking that it's going to turn out to be like that future Jonas has figured out a way of cloning people, but it's like it's going to be like egg. They're going to come out of the eggs and they're going to be
pupating on trees.
Yeah, and it's just like, ooh, that's gross,
Yeah,
but at the same time,
I mean, Anthony insisted that the French scientist we see hanged in the first episode of this season were the French delegation that Claudia consistently put off.
100%.
So maybe there's there is like this scientific stuff going on still in that post-apocalyptic future. So maybe they're pupating people in egg sacs as well. Yeah, maybe that's what the French delegation are doing.
Yeah, that's
what show are you watching? This is clearly the French delegation. Like they heard they were hanging around in the waiting room. Then all of a sudden they heard "My body is a cage," come from the other room, and they just ran down.
They're hanging around in their Tron suits, ready to go and check out the God particle.
Maybe they're the shadow. And maybe it's everyone else is the light, and then the French delegation are the dark. They're making the people into egg people and hatching them.
They have a French delegation being mentioned time and time again, and then we also get a French guy getting hung. I think at the very least, it shows you that there are French people working on time travel.
Yeah, I do agree with that, actually. Like, I do think that there is like they definitely got to this season and they were like, oh, we should chuck in some French-speaking science-looking guys just to show that like it's spread beyond the confines of Winden.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Because you think about it, right? After all those people in that room died from Clausen opening it up, right? Who's the closest scientist nearby? Down in local Hotel Winden, Regina's only customer. They're sitting there ready. Who's the first on ground zero? It's the French delegation.
Yeah. Maybe
they put them in the stranger's old room as well, which was a bad mistake because they forgot to tidy it away.
It's all just still on the walls, and they're like,
they do show Regina taking it down, but she just like stuffed it into like one of the drawers with the Bible in it, and like they opened it up and There you go, time travel for the French as well.
I really want to see a Chernobyl type spin-off of this show where the French delegation are in the hotel and then like it happens and they're like the ones who have to orchestrate the whole thing, the cleanup and the and then one of them then they get sucked through. That's the show.
That'd be great.
That's the spin-off.
Yeah.
God.
Right, well there we go. Emmett, if you don't have any other theories, we'll just shoot on through the next segment. What do you think?
I'll just spitfire quickly through my other stuff where it's like, so we see everyone sort of time traveling. I think these are all pretty much probably correct. So I think Stranger Jonas and Magnus and everyone, they are the beginning of the Travelers organization. Like when they move into the future or the past or where they end up going. That's the beginning of their building of Six Mundus.
Yes.
So I believe those are they're set up there. Hannah seems to be just chilling in the future. The past with Egon. I feel like we're gonna find out that Hannah maybe had some more kids or something like that at some stage. I feel like Charlotte and her daughter are going to, like, it seemed like that she got sucked into the future. It wasn't like necessarily 100% clear, but I think she and her daughter / her mother are gonna hang out for a while in the future, and she's going to see what the world ended up like. And I feel like she's going to continue to end up being, because we spend a lot of time setting up that she is important, but like it hasn't necessarily come to fruition yet. We haven't exactly seen what she needs to do yet. So I feel like her ending, if she died, it would be very weird. So I think she's definitely made it into the future. Maybe our favorite detective also came with her. And we're going to see that develop from that side. So I think we're seeing everybody move, and modern Jonas is going into the alt timeline with alt Marta or Eve, and like, so I feel like that's where everyone is ending up generally when it comes to time travel. That's where I think that's mapping out, I think.
Cool. Oh, awesome. Look forward to hearing your thoughts on the next one then.
You can't see, but behind the laptop I have a cork board with like strings and stuff like that where I'm just putting it together.
A conspicuously red thread,
yes.
Linking all of the...
Also, Emmett, this is the moment where you're up to now. This is the moment where I was like having a load of theories and stuff, and I started making theory videos on YouTube. And then like the season 3 came out like 3 weeks later. Oh. So you're at the same point I was now whenever I started this channel. So it's pretty cool.
Is this your way of hinting that you're actually me from the future again? Where you're like, you're at the point, and now you're going to go back in time and start making these videos, and this is how we're going to get here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. You've hit it on the head there, Nail. Because I hit the nail on the head, then I called you Nail. All right. Thanks very much, Emmett. We'll see you next week for season 3. Thanks. Bye, Emmett.
Bye.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Okay, now that we've got rid of him, again. Konrad.
I don't know what I meant to do there was be like, whoo, but I actually just whistled. I don't know why my brain decided to do that.
A retroactive catcall of Emmett.
Yeah, like I was going to say something else then. I'm not going to. I don't want to get in hot water. We'll leave that.
Konrad, you said it, and we don't want to deceive you thought it, sorry. We don't want to deceive our audience. They need to know exactly the person you are, Konrad.
I was going to make a comment about Emmett's legs, but to be honest, I feel like I can safely say that because I have literally never seen Emmett's lower half.
That's what I was going to say. How to get you more hot water, how would you feel if he didn't have any legs? Like, that is the thing, Konrad. You would really, that would be
just cancel me now.
I'm gonna say
just cancel me now.
Hobby ending. I was going to go say career ending, but we don't have a career in this. That would be hobby ending, Konrad.
Yep. I would have to go over to Twitch and begin like a hermit and begin my career anew as a problematic game streamer.
So we're safe to say Emmett does not have legs. Oh, sorry, he does have legs. I've done it again. Emmett does have legs, and you've never seen them. So does that mean you're allowed to objectify them? I suppose.
Yeah, it's impossible for me to objectify them. In fact, I have to objectify them because I've got no other means of imagining.
That's
them.
true, actually. Yeah, you have to. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. Thanks for listening to the After Dark podcast.
Yeah, sorry about that, everyone.
Yeah. So we've just heard Emmett's thoughts on season 2. Whoa, what a guy! I can't wait to see how that sort of goes next week in season 3. But I want to hear for this segment, Konrad, all about you and all about your thoughts towards season 2 on a rewatch.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is. I'm going to say it now. This is the best season. This is the best season, I think.
I got some questions in the comments when I said that too.
I haven't watched season 3 yet at the time, or rewatched, I should say, at the time of writing this. So I don't know. Maybe my opinion will be changed. But watching this one back, I was like, "Holy shit! This is a good episode. This is a good season of television." So right off the bat, I think this has the 2 strongest episodes in the entire series. I think the episode 3. With I now don't have the name of it in front of me, but the episode where it's kind of these dovetailing moments of Claudia meeting Egon in various different times, with her saying sorry to him at the end of her life, and that might be the White Devil, that one. The White Devil might be later. There definitely is an episode in this season called the White Devil, but I think that might be later.
I think that is this one, because doesn't she die in this one? Oh no, the
White
White Devil is this episode where Egon dies. Yeah.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah, I think the White Devil is the one where Egon dies. Episode 3 is the one that's kind of mirrored between Claudia and Egon. But what an episode that is! Just the especially when you know what's coming between them. But in fact, for both of them, not just for Egon, but for Claudia's kind of path to where she ends up in this that episode as well. It's just so heartbreaking, and it's just phenomenal performances from those 2 actors as well in a show that is in some ways defined by phenomenal performances. So that struck me as just an amazing episode of television. And then there's the Endless Cycle as well, which is just it's like a stage play. It's so good and so neat, so well contained within its own story and themes, but still fits perfectly into the broader themes that Dark is exploring. Yeah, I can't say enough about those 2 episodes, but this entire season is great.
Flashback, summer 2019. That's such a good episode. I love that episode.
But what's that Who song called that they always is it
Baba O'Reilly?
Baba O'Reilly, that's it. I always said Baba Yaga, which is not the right.
It's like the start of I always remember it as the start of the film The Girl Next Door with Emil Hirsch, and it's like it was the summer.
There's none of that in Endless Cycle, which is probably for the best.
Probably for the best.
It would have felt weird tonally. Talking about things that are weird tonally in this season, you probably know where I'm going with this, because I have just started singing a certain Elvis song before we started recording. That Caught in a Trap scene is still so fucking stupid, and it's really fun. Like it's just this really odd, like, rare moment of is it outright comedy? It's very close to outright comedy. Like, it's still
just
tense,
like playing
obviously.
that song.
Yeah, it's just so stupid, but that's the song he plays. And everyone literally just kind of files in these warlords on their APC. Like, let's not pay attention to the content of the lyrics. Let's just... it's so stupid.
What I would have loved is, the only way it would have been better is if when he finally gets like the fuel and he's about to go, like, he's on top of the tank, the guy sees him, and then the track changes to "You ain't nothing but a hound dog," and he has to run away.
Yeah, that would be very good. Or like War, like from Small Soldiers. I don't actually know who recorded that song, but it's very
Anything
good.
to do with Small Soldiers in Dark would have elevated it. Let's be honest.
Where are the Gorgonites? What are they up to in the world of Dark?
Adam is a bit of a Gorgonite, I think. He's like no, he's not. The Gorgonites are the good guys. What am I talking about?
I liked the bad guys in that. I think because when I watched that movie, I was like 13, so I was still just at the tail end of that kind of phase that a lot of boys go through, where anything military, they're like, "That's fucking cool, man." And
I've never had that phase. I'm gonna be honest with you.
All right, well, fine. Like, you had a good upbringing, I guess. I was into guns.
Well, to the point where now I might like, we'll see what the comments say about this, but this is, I'm sure some members of the audience will endear them to me. So other members will be like, "Well, you're a bit of a," But even to the point where we went into a shop and we had a choice of 2 like rainproof overalls for our son, and one was camouflage, like army camouflage, and the other one was just flowers. And I was like, "Well, I'm not fucking getting into the camouflage. I'm like, my child isn't being a mini soldier." so I got him the
Yeah.
flower one. So it's hilarious though, because you should have seen all the grandparents' looks like. They're always like, "Geez, you're not putting him in that, are you?" I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah. Let's just really reinforce that gender identity now.
Like
so
when I got married, you made me put a flower on my pocket. What are you talking about? Men
Yeah.
can wear flowers.
Flowers are for girls, all right? That's just how it works.
Yeah.
Men don't have time for things like nature. They're too busy killing each other. Or
They were
pretending
the only
to
two
kill
options,
each
by
other.
the way, I must say, because it was like £100 little suit that was down to like 25 quid. And I was like, well, I have to get it because it's a really good quality one. So there we go. All my children from now on, whether boys or girls, are going to be wearing that. So
Yeah, no, I think that's a good plan
So
too.
I
Let
was
them,
Gorgonites. Gorgonites through and through. Flower power for me.
Gorgonites were fucking hippies. I stand by that. I hated them.
Well, I am.
hate them bad. I hate
I
them
wouldn't call myself a hippie, because I'm not part of any group of hippies. But I would say, like,
You're not someone who was really into like peace and love in the 60s.
no,
and then
no,
when it
exactly.
actually
Like, I'm not really into peace and love.
when it came time to actually invoking any kind of social change, they're like, actually, we like money,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
got
yeah.
old. And
No. I'm more of the social change, but I'm quite annoying to the people who don't want it type person.
yeah, we're just kind of typical millennials.
Yeah.
I think is probably what we are. Refusing to acknowledge that we're getting old and haven't had the impact we wanted to have on the world. That's my stance. But yes, so that is a great scene. The caught in the trap scene, and I love a lot of Jonas in the future in this season. I think his kind of like journey is one of just growing frustration with the fact that he can't figure out how to fix things. And I think when you're watching that one episode at a time every week, it can become a bit frustrating because it's like, God, he just keeps on being lied to and keeps on not getting the right end of the stick. It's like, for God's sake, Jonas, like just figure it out. But when you watch it all in one go, it's really not as noticeable, and you have much more kind of sympathy for him as a character, I think. What
about the bug monsters, though?
So it was a mistrick. It was a mistrick. I wrote it down again.
You wrote it down again.
It's in the sound design. Like the first time you see them in that first episode, when we get to see the god, or second episode where we get to see the god particle for the first time.
I honestly thought when you say the Gore and then you stopped and started the sentence again, I honestly thought you were about to say the Gorgonites.
When we see the Gorgonites again, when we see. Oh fuck! Who did the voice of the main Gorgonite? It wasn't Liam Neeson, was
Tommy
it?
Lee Jones?
I feel like he was.
I don't know. No, Tommy Lee Jones was the main
bad
soldier.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will destroy our enemy.
Yeah.
He had a great voice in that. But when we see like the god particle for the first time, there is that kind of like insectoid droning in the soundtrack that is clearly elevated when we see these things on screen. Listen, we've talked about how they were building this plane when it was already in the sky. I think one of Baron Bodar or Jan Fries called an audible early on in this season. It was like, we've got to scrap the insects. We've got to scrap them. Like, it's not going to work. And they had to just put up with the fact that they've clearly hinted that that's where the show was going to go, and then it didn't.
That is so stupid. I can't even contain myself. We're not. I don't have to pretend anymore. That is just the stupidest idea ever.
Take up your issue with the sound design.
See your ideas when we were in season 1. It was like all about like the different pathways, and you were going to get to a point where you had like a big pool of this liquid that could tell us, guys, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing?
Listen. When you come up with as many this is the thing that when people are like, oh, Konrad's so good at, like, this is going to sound like false modesty to kind of pump myself up, and it really isn't. When people talk about how like I'm so good at guessing things, it's just a numbers game. Like when you fire out as many as I do, you're going to get some right. Like that is the simple. It is just a law of averages. You're going to get some big ones right.
You come to the fight with a shotgun. Like the scatter shot's going to hit something. Like,
yeah, exactly. You got to bring the right tools to the fight. That's the that's the lesson to be learned here. But on a slightly more serious note, the talking about the sound design for the droning on the cocoons. Something I did notice about this is the sound design for this season is so good. It was good in the first season, but like in this, you've got like, I feel like they really stepped it up in terms of a lot of the mechanical noises. So when Jonas is operating the machine to stabilize the God particle in the future. Some great sound design on that. The H.G. Tannhaus time machine has some fantastic, like we've seen that before, but not really operational, or not at. I guess we see it at the end of season 1 actually, when the stranger is doing his stuff. But I feel like we see a lot more of it here, and the sound design is a lot crisper. And it just really stood out to me that it's just a real high point of this season, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. I also love all the sounds when he's in the first season too, I think, but when they're using the actual briefcase time machine, it's all lovely. Like,
yeah, it's all like just such great sound in this, which is, an often underappreciated aspect of film and television making, I think. But when it's good, you really, really notice it. Yeah. I love as well in the future. Obviously, we know that there's like the recordings that Jonas is following to kind of instruct him on how to go back to the 20s. But I love that when you actually see it, having watched the whole show, you see the setup around him. It's like Claudia left all of this out for him. Like, it's not. I think when I was watching it the first time, I was like, oh, she left some tapes for him, and there's this research on the table in these like ring bound folders that maybe other people were doing work as well. But when like what Claudia has been up to this entire time, it's like, no, this is all just been left for him, and then I guess probably later for Adam as well, to basically guide all of these people to do exactly what she needs them to do, and it's so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep. All right. Well, anything else you noticed?
I think the one character note I will point out is that there is the mirroring. I think it's fairly early on. The mirroring of Stranger and Hannah's relationship, where I think it's in episode 2 of this season. We see her kind of watching him like lovingly in bed as he sleeps in their home, which is an exact mirror of the shot that we will see in season 3, where he watches over her as Adam before bumping her off.
Yeah, in front of her daughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely man.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Right. Well, I think is that us then?
Yes. I think that's pretty much everything that I've got that I've got for this season.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thanks very much for listening, guys. Again, if you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, you can. It's the Culture Cave on YouTube, or you can just subscribe on audio apps as well. Just the After Dark podcast there. Could you please also give the video a like? It does help. And also leave a comment if you have anything to let us know. If you wanted to send us an email, a bit more private than a comment, adpodmail@gmail.com. A lot of people send us emails there, sort of correcting us on things and stuff. Really lovely people, like not wanting to do it in the comments. So thank you very much. If you want to correct us in the comments, we also don't mind that either. But yeah, lovely to get emails from people. Can you please also have a look? You don't have to buy it, but just go have a look at our Redbubble page. It's in the link in the description. We've got a lovely t-shirt there. You might want to support the channel. Who knows? Join the Discord if you want to talk about Dark 1899, which should be coming out some point between now and this time next year. It's going to be great fun. Apart from that, guys, thanks very much for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the After Dark podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode.